If you are not tracking data as a creative entrepreneur, you're involved in a magnificent guessing game about what works. And not to knock your game or anything, but that's a terrible strategy. In this episode, we're going to the mattresses, or the sheets, specifically the spreadsheets, because I'm going to show you the 23 different analytics that I like to track as a business owner. I do these monthly and annually. I'm going to show you all the spreadsheets. Hey there, I'm Ashlyn. I left corporate marketing for freelance copywriting back in 2016, built a dynamite team, and have since sold more than $1.26 million just in copywriting services to more than 240 clients as a full-service copywriting agency. Along the way, I coined the phrase copywriting for creatives and launched the Copy Bar. It's where we serve up copy templates, courses, and subscriptions for the creative set. Plus, I've cultivated an engaged community of hundreds of creatives inside the Copy Bar Collective. As a working mom of 3, I am bound and determined to show you proven strategies so you can make more money with your words and work from a place of more rest, less hustle. Let's get right in. Creative types, hang with me. I know you, I am you. I'm gonna be talking about math, but you can't run from it. The same way when it comes to copywriting, I say if you can't pitch me, if you can't hold the mic and tell me why I should work with you, and succinctly tell me what you do, that's what this kind of stuff is. And I know I talk about copywriting on here all the time. That is my passion. But this kind of stuff matters to me too, because we can't sell anything if you just have an expensive hobby. And I had to struggle to figure this stuff out. Obviously, the word side is what comes naturally to me, but think about any episode you've ever seen of Shark Tank. They get up there, they do 2 pretty big things right out of the gate. They pitch, they tell what they do, and then boom, immediately the sharks start asking their numbers. So that brings me to the first family of analytics I track, and that's financial reporting. I said in a recent video, I brought on a bookkeeper after I was 1 year in business. So I did this kind of stuff by myself on Fridays for that first year. It was awful. I would cry. I hated trying to do all of the math. But it taught me enough to be dangerous. I'm now able to speak to a bookkeeper in an educated way. So I used to, on my own, pull these from QuickBooks, but now I hop into Google Drive. I'll tell you how I look at things in a minute. Let me first tell you what they are. Number 1, I look at our balance sheet. Think about this like a checkup from the doctor, a temp check. Is your business unwell? How much cash do you have on hand today? How much is on your credit card that you owe? That's what a balance sheet is. It is a temp check of the business. The next thing that I look at, and I probably look at them more, is a P&L. I look at it year to date, I look at it monthly, and I include it on my stats tracker because I want to know this all the time. This is like your report card. And how do you get an A? You get an A by proving that you're profitable. What did you make in sales this month, either as a service provider, as a coach, or with your e-commerce and your physical products? How much did you sell? How much did you spend? And where's that wash out? Did you wind up in the black? Did you wind up in the red? So that's your P&L. And then the third thing I'm looking at, I'm constantly looking at our projections versus our goals. I nerd out on this. I grew to love this once I worked with Sheena Skidmore inside the Blueprint model. Now it is one of my favorite things to do every year, every quarter, to sit down in the business and see like, okay, what happens if we press the accelerator this hard? What could happen? Or we change this. What happens then? It's like my spreadsheet heaven. I love figuring out how to exceed projections, but you also need to realize that your goals and your projections are different. So you can have your goals about what you would love to be able to sell, but your projections are based more realistically. And I like to base mine pretty conservatively. So about 10 to 15% more than we sold last time is how I like to run our business projections. A fourth report that could help you is your monthly cash flow. Madison puts one of these in my folder. I'll be honest, I don't really look at it. It's nice to see your monthly recurring revenue, but again, my little math pea brain just likes the other 3 things. And those give me a healthy enough snapshot of what's going on. Okay, for each little family of analytics, I'm going to tell you where I look at these, how I track them. These are in 2 places. So 1, Madison, my bookkeeper, plops them inside a Google Drive folder, all those that she just downloads the file and pops them in there so I can go look at them anytime I need them. I can pop into Xero and run the report, but it's easier to just go look and see what month to month was. Then inside our weekly stats tracker, I sell this inside the Copy Bar shop. This is our weekly KPI tracker that everybody on the business has a little piece that they go in and update. So every week I'm looking at what are we year to date in profit, what are we year to date in expenses, and what is that profit margin? And I'm looking at what that percentage is. Now, because I am me and I need things right in front of me or else I'll forget them, I have these little wildcard pages I made for my Powersheets and I tape them in. So I'm looking every single month too. I'm making myself write it down by hand. I can remember it more that way. Sometimes Wes would ask, what did y'all make last month? And I thought, I actually have no idea, even though I typed the number. If I write it, I remember it more. Okay, the second little family of numbers we're gonna talk about are your sales numbers. Now remember, my business, I have an agency, a service provider side to the business, and we have more of an education product side. So they're a little bit different, but here are the weekly stats that I wanna know. Conversion rates of all the sales pages and landing pages that are right in front of it. The cart page conversion rate. What's the order bump conversion rate? The one-time only offer conversion rate. If you have a webinar funnel, what was the watch rate? I'm pretty good on the spot if you just want to ask me what an average conversion rate should be for a certain kind of page, but I break all of this down inside a spreadsheet. I told you I love spreadsheets. A spreadsheet that is inside Prime to Launch. You can grab it for only $97. That's my system to building a marketing campaign. These are your little benchmarks though that you need to be tracking and make sure you're hitting or succeeding or exceeding. On the agency side, it's kind of similar, but we're tracking things like the application rate. So the number of people that hit ashlynwrites.com/application and apply, we want to know that number. Then we want to know how many actually booked a call after that. We want to know how many showed up for the call, and we want to know how many we closed in sales. Side note, I talk about my sales call script in another video. I'll link it below. Other numbers I want to know here are what are the traffic numbers to these pages per month? So how many individual eyeballs land on them? A lot of y'all don't know that. Or I see time and time again when we work with people for launches that they are saying something didn't work based off their feelings. You need to show me something didn't work based off math. So based on the number of eyeballs that hit that page, what was the conversion rate? So you need to know your traffic. Two other sales stats I like to know are the churn on our membership. This was new for us in 2023. I'd never had something where I needed to know the churn, but with a membership, obviously you have to be intaking because you lose members. So I want to know the churn rate. How long does somebody stick around? And then a number that we keep track of, but I don't let worry me too much, is the refund rate. Overall, I want under a 10% refund rate overall in my business. We're far much lower than that. We're like, I think 2 to 3%. But that's the advice I was given one time. I can't even remember who. Somebody told me that don't even really stress out unless your refunds hit 10%. Take it if it's helpful. Another little grouping of sales stats that I want to know. What's the average purchase value or average order value? So when I look at our shop, how much does the average consumer spend there? I'm not tracking this month to month as much as year to year, but it may be helpful for you to track these more granularly. Average purchaser frequency rate, customer value. This is so helpful. If you can figure out how much somebody costs on your list, I'll put a quick formula up on the side for that. But if you can figure out how much somebody on your list, what their value is, it helps you then know how much you can spend to bring someone in. So figure out the customer value, figuring out your lifetime value is immensely helpful as well, and figuring out average customer lifespan. So how long is somebody kind of in your orbit before they go away? That is the hardest of all of these that I've mentioned to figure out. I'm also not going to get too deep in the weeds with how to figure out these numbers. Go grab that spreadsheet if this is something that completely perplexes you. There's a formula for it, I promise. Okay, where are these numbers housed? Same, on the weekly stats tracker. The annual ones are numbers that I look at kind of on annual planning spreadsheets. And then I'm also gonna write by hand these things in my Powersheets. Are we getting this? Is this too nerdy? I hope it's helpful. Click like if this has helped you so far. I'm gonna dig into the last family of stats that I'm gonna track. These are traffic and marketing numbers. This is what you think of. This is email list growth. Oh my goodness, we have to know that. That's definitely a number that I'm basing my launches off of. Like, how much do we think we could sell? What are my audience sizes for all channels, all the different social media things? Again, this is the kind of stuff that helps me estimate how much we'll see in a launch. I have a calculator inside Prime to Launch that does that for you. A stat I started tracking in 2023 that I really liked, and I would kind of just include it in my Powersheets as a goal, a weekly goal to share my CEO KPI. So how many times in a week did I tell people what we do and how you can work with us? It sounds really elementary, but that was something that I don't think I was holding myself to, or I just thought I did. But when you actually make yourself write down, are you doing it? Are you saying it clearly on podcasts? When you go to parties or meet new people and they ask what you do you say it clearly? If you are in a summit or in some kind of virtual room when there's a lot of people, are you saying what you do in a way that's helpful for people to understand? Once I started tracking that, I felt a little called out because I realized how little I did it. Maybe try to track your CEO KPI. Again, most all of these things I'm gonna keep in a digital format inside the stats tracker, and I like to have them beside me in my Powersheets. But one big thing, and again, I teach it inside Prime to Launch, the chalkboard method. I keep a massive chalkboard beside my desk, and I'm always looking at some of these big numbers. That's like a little polite nudge constantly that I do have benchmarks I need to hit and have fun at work today, Ashlyn, but also like, this stuff doesn't get done, then you don't have business. Okay, the last little thing I want to share is how you can use these numbers to set goals. Once you know these numbers and you spend some time writing them down, it's a lot easier to set goals. I mentioned earlier I like to do like a 10 to 15% increase on things. I learned this the hard way when I would say, I want to hit X number of new Instagram followers this year, or X number on our email list. You take that number and you look at, okay, that means every month I need to have this many more, every week I need to have this many more, and you're thinking, oh my gosh, we can't have that. Like, we can't grow that fast. Well, probably not. It's more realistic to grow like 10 to 15%, or at least base your business off that and then try to exceed it, then try to beat it. But looking at everything from your P&L to your conversion rates, this helps you generate some business goals like generate X new clients at a higher price point, increase total revenue by X%, lower expenses by X%, grow total leads by X amount, increase conversion rate on X funnel by whatever percent. See what I'm saying? You can have better goals because they're based on something that's true. If you like this video and it was helpful, let me know by clicking the like button, share it with a business bestie, and comment below spreadsheets girly if you likewise enjoy a good spreadsheet that is beautifully color-coded and you've also spent too long putting your brand colors in Google Sheets. Aesthetic, people, aesthetic. And now you know the 23 different metrics that I'm always looking at and following to track our business growth. You see how paramount it is to make sure things are going smoothly so scope creep doesn't happen and bust up the entire system. I've got you. Be sure to watch the next video I have where I'm going to break down what you need to have in place before you bring on a new copywriting client. As always, thanks so much for watching. Go out there and track those metrics. I'll see you in the next video.